BTS news today. The night sky over Seoul was brushed with a light drizzle. At the ever-awake HYBE studio, the lights on the top floor still glowed softly. Most of the staff had left hours ago, but one room remained alive, illuminated by the warm light and the gentle notes of piano keys being played slowly. Park Jimin sat alone in front of the digital keyboard he often used to write his most personal melodies. His hair was damp. He had walked all the way from the dorm, refusing the driver's offer, saying he wanted to feel an honest night. Beside him sat a cup of honey tea and sheets of paper scattered across the floor. On his laptop screen, a music software was open, displaying a composition he had never shown anyone. One folder stood out, labeled, "For Cook." It had been 3 weeks since Jimin started writing this song in secret. He never thought it would go this far. It began as just a few lyrics inspired by seeing Jungkook asleep in the practice room. His hair messy, sweat still on his skin, yet his face calm, as if the weight of the world had never touched him. That moment made Jimin want to capture the quiet beauty Jungkook carried, a side of him the world rarely saw. Jimin knew writing a song about someone wasn't unusual in the music industry. But this was different. It wasn't about love or romance. It was about deep admiration, about a friendship forged through over a decade of struggles, about the urge to protect someone who seemed strong, but was secretly fragile inside. He began to sing the first verse. "In every silence, I hear you loud, the tremble in your hands, the strength in your cloud. You smiled for the world, but I saw the pain, so I wrote you a song, without your name." His voice nearly cracked at the end. He closed his eyes, leaned his head against the wall, and exhaled deeply. The song was almost complete, just one part left. The hardest part. The part he wanted to sing in front of Jungkook. But when? And how? 3 days later in the same studio, laughter suddenly broke the silence. Jungkook walked in unannounced, carrying iced coffee and their favorite donuts. "You haven't slept, Hyung?" he asked, setting the drinks on the table. Jimin quickly closed his laptop. "Just finished practicing. What are you doing here?" "I couldn't sleep. Thought you might be here," Jungkook said, flopping onto the couch. His eyes stared at the ceiling, fingers tapping rhythmically on his knees. "Hyung, lately, you've been distant." The question pierced through. Jimin looked at his friend. That familiar gaze he'd been avoiding. "I'm not distant, Jungkook. I'm just thinking about a lot of things." "You're writing a song, aren't you?" Jungkook asked suddenly. Jimin froze. "What?" "I know you're working on something. You always do that when your mind is full. You avoid people, even me." Jungkook chuckled. "I'm not mad, Hyung. Just curious." There was a long pause. Jimin walked to the piano. "Promise me, don't laugh or judge." Jungkook sat upright. "Of course." Jimin turned on the speakers, opened his laptop, and played the file he had hidden for weeks. His heart raced. As the intro began, he nearly changed his mind. But then his voice began to flow. "I saw you cry behind the glass, I saw you run, but never ask why the world feels heavy when you smile, and I kept the truth with me." All the while, Jungkook froze. His eyes widened, not just from the lyrics, but from how Jimin sang them, as if every word came from his own memory. Every note hit his chest, dragging feelings he didn't know were seen by anyone else. "You gave me light when I had none, you held me close when I would run, so I sing this song, not just to see the reason I stayed." When the final verse ended, silence fell. Only the sound of the fan and their racing hearts remained. Jungkook lowered his head, eyes glistening. "Hyung," he whispered, "you wrote all that for me?" Jimin didn't answer immediately. He just smiled gently at his best friend. "I didn't know how to say it, how proud I am of you. How I always want to protect you, even though you've grown strong. This song is my way of saying you're never alone." Jungkook stood up and hugged him tightly. "I'll never forget this, not in a million years." The song was kept secret at first, but a few weeks later, during a recording session in LA, Jungkook quietly played the demo in the break room. Suga, RM, and Taeyoung, who happened to be nearby, stopped in their tracks. "This is Jimin's voice, right?" RM asked. Jungkook nodded. "He wrote it for me." Suga gave a slow nod. "It gives me chills. Feels like he wrote it for all of us, not just you." Taeyoung, who had been silently listening, smiled and patted Jungkook's shoulder. "You two should sing this together." And so they did. At BTS's 12th anniversary celebration, without prior announcement, Jimin and Jungkook stood on a small stage. A single light shone on them. No choreography, no fancy effects. Jimin at the piano. Jungkook standing beside him. They began singing Without Your Name. The audience fell silent. Many were moved to tears. Because what they heard wasn't just a song. It was a love letter, a warm embrace, an honest confession from two men who had grown together through storms, wounds, and long silences. After the song, Jungkook whispered into the mic, "This song saved me, even before I knew I needed saving." Jimin looked at him and chuckled softly. A laugh full of relief. Weeks later, the song was officially released as part of Jimin's solo album. In the physical booklet, one handwritten page stood out. "To my dear friend, Jungkook, thank you for growing with me. This song is a reflection of all the things I never said but always felt that I hope the world sees you the way I do." The album became one of the most emotionally resonant releases in BTS's solo history. Fans wrote that Without Your Name wasn't just about Jimin and Jungkook. It was about deep friendship, truly seeing someone, and loving in silence. That a few months later, on a quiet autumn afternoon in Jeju, Jimin and Jungkook retreated to a seaside villa to rest from their hectic schedules. Far from cameras, far from city noise, Jungkook sat in a rattan chair sipping black coffee. Jimin lay on the carpet with eyes closed, wearing Jungkook's oversized hoodie. The cold air nudged them closer, not just for warmth, but for comfort. "You know," Jungkook murmured, "I thought I'd outgrown crying. But the first time I heard that song, I couldn't speak." Jimin opened his eyes, looked over, and laughed softly. "Because you always keep everything in, Kook. Even your tears." Jungkook wiped his eyes. "Sometimes it all just feels too heavy, and I don't know how to let go. But you, Hyung, you always know. Even before I do." Jimin sat up, leaning against the glass wall facing the ocean. "Because I know you. Not as the Jungkook the world knows, but as the kid who stuck close to me during our debut days. The one who didn't know what to say on camera, but always looked for me when he was tired." Jungkook chuckled, hiding his face. "Hyung, don't say stuff like that. I'll cry again." Jimin smiled and walked over to sit in front of him. "You know, I often wonder, what if we weren't BTS? Just two boys from Busan and Daegu who happened to meet." Jungkook looked up, teary-eyed but smiling. "I think we'd still be us." Jimin stared at him in silence, then said, "That song wasn't a conclusion, Jungkook. It was just the beginning. I want us to write a song together. About us. Not because we have to, but because it comes from the heart." Jungkook nodded. "I want that too." So the story continued. For a full week in Jeju, they wrote, played melodies, rewrote lyrics, laughed, had small fights, and laughed again. They wrote a song titled Still Here, a continuation of Without Your Name. But this time, a harmony. One lyric went, "We ran through the storm, and still we're here. The voices change, but your heart I hear. Years went by, but nothing fades. Still here with you, where dreams were made."